Brass Allergy by Beat Me with a Bag of Coins. You walked into Bibble's driveway. Smelled like fresh grass. It was heavenly. Birds were singing. The sky was blue and scattered with fluffy white clouds, and the leaves on the trees of Bibble's suburb property were green as could be. His Cybertruck was parked in the driveway. He was home. Sigma Alpha Rizzler Skibbity Toiler Baby Girl was home, and you loved it like that, because he was your alpha. Bibble was the alpha. Bibble was the leader. Bibble was the one to trust. Bibble and you were in this pack for life. And Dizzle, the whore, was the most skibbity decrepit piece of shart you've ever seen. She was like a moldy, rotten piece of wet fur that never seemed to dry. Oh wait, that was exactly what she was. She looked like a grease puddle 24/7, and it was just repulsive and vomit-inducing. Dizzle smelled like wet skunk that got run over 73 times, and not in a sexy way. She was like a rat with rabies, except somehow even more atrocious. Dizzle gave you the feeling that one gets when toilet water splashes on your booty cheeks when taking a deuce. But this wasn't about Dizzle. This was about your pookie wookie dookie named Bibble. You banged in his door with your men's size 13 Nike steel toe boots and screeched at the top of your lungs. No answer. You knocked again. This time about as violent as your alcoholic father, who used to beat your mother half to death until he left to get a pack of cigarettes 15 years ago. No answer. Again. Since Bibble didn't answer, you decided to cry your eyes out waiting for him to answer the door. Once all snotty and gross and red and puffy, you used your snot to lubricate the door lock. Your snot had magical door opening properties, and you didn't have cold at the moment, so crying until you were stuffed up was the only option to get your nose line to work. You took a hand, blew your nose into it, and wiped your yummy green mucus all over the door handle. After you stood there for a second and tried to jiggle the handle, still locked, it occurred to you that it had to actually be inside the lock instead of, well, you just put your snot on Bibble's front doorknob for absolutely no reason. You were a nasty girl in a sexy way, unlike Dizzle, so you took your disgustingly snotty hand and wiped it on his window to mark your territory before wiping your hand on your pants to rid yourself of the snotty feeling on your hands. Besides, Bibble will let you use his sink, right? Peeking through the window, you saw that sexylicious booty fart hottie munchkin Pookie Snookums baby girl shoddy hottie getting a beer from the fridge. You knocked on the door again. Bibble, you screeched.
Ew, what you doing, Pooks?
Bibble said sexily. He was the hottest thing since Brad Pitt got old, but you didn't like Brad Pitt, so Bibble was the hottest thing since the last time Yellowstone erupted. That's right, Bibble was that attractive, delicious, sexy, alodocious. He was like Zeus, and he could seduce any woman he wanted. Well, any woman he wanted as long as there were a few restrictions. This'll for starters, and any other female who wasn't you. But that wasn't too much to ask, right? Bibble, it smells like fresh grass out here, you beamed.
Oh,
Bibble replied. What's wrong, hot stuff? You asked, pressing your forehead against his and looking into his eyes, holding his gaze until it became increasingly obvious that you were mentally not okay. Bibble took a while to reply before you saw that skanky hoe-bag skunk-smelly Thistle out of the corner of your eye. She was mowing the lawn.
nothing. I'm just allergic to grass, baby girl. Don't worry,
he said. Did they live together? No, couldn't possibly. Bibble lived alone, or at least that's what his Grindr profile said. You like to pretend to be a man on that site and catfish people, no problems there. But now that you think of it, Bibble kinda smelled like wet skunk, and he was a little greasy too, but in a hot way. Everything Bibble did was hot. You player, sexy heartbreaker, you living with Thistle? You angrily cried, stomping your foot until you broke through the wooden patio. You regained your footing and stomped again. Bibble really needed to refurbish his patio.
Whoa, name Poof. She says here to mow the lawn. She's a landscaper. I'm severely allergic to grass, and I can't mow it, baby. There's nothing going on at all. Ever. Promise. XOXOXO.
Bibble reassured. This was the one time in your life where you didn't believe him. Bibble was most likely trying to protect that toilet water urchin from you next murderous rampage, but it was too late. She set you off. If you couldn't have Bibble, no one could. You went full ape mode and gave Thistle a swift kick off the lawnmower before you hijacked it. Thistle, on the ground and covered in freshly cut grass, looked horrified. You felt the bump of her body underneath the lawnmower before the lovely blood-curdling sound of screams and shrieking came from the underside of the lawnmower. You made sure the blade was on its highest setting. You didn't move for a while until the shrieking and yelping came to a halt. Unlike what you did at stop signs, pedestrians and other cars damned you had places to be. The perk of being name Poof was that everyone had to care about you because you were the main character. Blood spurted out of the lawnmower and Thistle's screams came to a stop. You rolled over her and all you found was a mangled heap of organic material, bloody fur, skin, bones, remnants of eyeballs, teeth, and other stuff. Thistle had been torn to shreds. You took out a mason jar that you always had on you and scooped up some of the gory slurry that was once Thistle to keep for later. Or added to your collection of women who got their grubby paws on Bibble. Now it was Bibble's turn. You wiped the blood from your face and smiled at him. He'd have to love you now, and not just from his opium addiction. Bibble, you sang, walking over.
Yes, Spooky?
He asked, backing away. You were covered in Thistle blood and grass. Still you neared him. Nothing will keep me from you, Pookie, Pinky, Winky, Teeny, Weeny, Ponchak, Aztec, Monster, Baby, Honey Pie, he stammered, blushing.
I love you, Pookie Wookie named Poof.
You kissed his lips in the most intimate way you could, by sticking your tongue up his nostrils and then kissing him gently on the lips before licking his eyeballs. To your unsurprise, he licked your eyeballs back. Bibble laughed cutely.
Oh, name Poof.
And then he started sneezing, once, twice, 3 times. And then he exploded, leaving the squishy, squelchy, wet, bloody Bibble remains that exploded everywhere. So he really was allergic to grass. No, Bibble, you screamed as he exploded and died. He was dead, and he had you to thank for it. The end.